that was a really strange game. That was probably the strangest Clasico I've ever seen. And while Barcelona won 1-0, Rakatic scoring a chip over Courtois in the 25th minute, the main takeaway was Real Madrid looks in shambles. They're lacking confidence. They don't look like they feel that they can score. Essentially, Sergio Ramos, while being the spark plug out there and starting fights with every single player on Barcelona, he was the spirit that Real Madrid used to have all throughout the field. But this game, he stood out as the only person with that type of intensity. It's really strange. Benzema had opportunities, just missed them. Vinicius Jr., still a great player, had got himself into some opportunities, but didn't really pose a threat. You know, he's lacking the confidence, but he's allowed to at his age. Really, it was Real Madrid looks uninspired. The coach looks like he is nervous about his job. He started Bale for the first time outright. Bale was invisible. Bale had zero impact on the game. Another reason why the coach looks like he's probably on his last leg is the first time he subbed in Isco. Right? These are all the complaints people had. Put in Isco should be getting some time. You know, the coach didn't want to, but it seemed like he was forced to put him in, right? Last resort. Show that he can do everything that all the naysayers say he can't. Put in Bale. He's a great threat out on the right. He's not. He really isn't. I don't know what it is, if he's not in form, if it's just the morale. You know, not only were the players lethargic, the crowd didn't even believe that they could win. It was the first time that I've really watched a Clasico with such a low intensity level. Never seen anything like it. It's like they knew they were going to lose. Barcelona didn't even seem like they were going 100%, but they knew Real Madrid was going to lose. It was like a foregone conclusion that Real Madrid was going to lose 2 Clásicos in 72 hours. And with that being said, Barcelona played a solid game. I would say I liked how Dembele was creating a lot of opportunities up front. Messi for the second time in a row. It looked like Real Madrid had a good plan for Messi. Don't give him space, stay tight on him. But for the most part, Real Madrid wasn't even pressuring Barcelona. You know, we got the ball, we had time. It was quite interesting. Now I'd say the 2 players that made the biggest impact, Rakatic scored a goal, and PK for Barcelona. PK had an amazing game. While he had small mistakes, he was an impact player for sure. Rakatic, I like the style they did. Usually, they play Rakatic as more of a defensive ball placer, but this time they had him pushing forward. Now that's because even though Arthur came back, and usually I think a lot of Barcelona fans assume Arthur would be the playmaker, he'd be the one pushing up. This is his first game back off an injury, so they held him back. It was Rakitic's goal to go, his responsibility to go forward and create opportunities, and for that, he did. I'd say that, and when you play a game so short in between the last game, you know, you try to take the rules from the last game and then create a new plan for the next game. And what they did, what I noticed, what Barcelona did, at least what it looked like, was they decided no one's going to expect Rakitic pushing up forward, and that's what he did. And that's how they got their 1 goal, was by catching him off guard. And I thought that was a good plan. You know, the 2 impact players for Real Madrid would definitely have to be Sergio Ramos. He clearly, as he does, likes to start fights with every single person, punch Messi in the face. But he kind of, whenever you hit Messi, you have to understand that the rest of the team is going to attack you. And that's what they did. Langley in the box went ahead and threw a forearm in his throat. Then another opportunity on a corner kick. Ter Stegen went ahead and got even with Sergio Ramos by punching through him. And these are all things that he can expect, and he got back up. But these are things that happen when you punch Messi in the face, as he typically does. He likes to be a violent center back. Not knocking him. I mean, I think they needed that. He was the spark, but it seemed like nobody else was playing the same game with the same intensity that he was. So I'd say Ramos had a good game and Vinicius Jr. But it was like the two impact players, the two energized players were a center back and then the left forward or the left wing. So everything in between was so lackadaisical. It was so just going through the motions. I'd never really experienced that. In this game, I would say it wasn't so much that Barcelona outplayed them, but it's like they didn't even need to put 100% because everyone in that building knew Barcelona was going to win. Even when the threats were across the front of the goal, Real Madrid wasn't going to score. So it's just kind of an interesting situation. Obviously, something has to change. I know there's already been threats of Solari being taken out of his position, but this team they knew they couldn't win. Bale couldn't come through, right? He was more of a problem than an actual benefit to the team. But actually a very bright highlight I found for Barcelona, when Vidal came in, he set the tone. He came in the second half as a sub, and he was making some vicious hits. He was getting to the ball first. He was pressuring. He did a great job. I mean, Vidal, when he needed just to maintain a game and to stop pressure, he's a perfect player for that. And he did his job. Rakatic was involved. Great job. Ter Stegen always saves, has a great game. But instead of really breaking down the game, the biggest thing that I'm left with is that Real Madrid didn't want that. And something's got to change. I don't know if there's just a mix of personalities that aren't working or if the pressure's starting to get to them, but they're definitely going to need to do something different before the next Champions League game. But I hope they figure it out, or I hope they don't. Whatever it is, something has to change. And specifically in that locker room and with those energy levels.